I'm Emily Leonard, the Director of Grants and Public Relations for Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Flint, and I am an AmeriCorps alumni. The seed never sees the flower grow, and it was kind of saying to us, you're going to be doing this great work in all of these communities, but you might not see, kind of like the fruits of your labor, the effort of what you're doing. In my time as a service member at the Boys and Girls Club, I had the privilege and I was able to see some of the growth from the kids we were serving, seeing them experience some new things for the first time, and that was so impactful to me in my year of service that I agreed to sign up for a second year of service at this organization, and it was a couple months into that I was offered a full-time job. I have grown so much personally and professionally in terms of feeling more comfortable speaking in front of people, being able to use my voice to share my story as an AmeriCorps member and how it's impacted me, but also being able to share the stories and the impact of what we're doing here at the Boys and Girls Club to impact youth in our community. I really can't envision what my life would be like without service, because again, it was so instrumental and so crucial to what I'm doing now. I can say, with full conviction that I would not be where I am right now, doing what I'm doing right now, making the impact that I'm making without having that experience as an AmeriCorps member. The advice that I would give to anyone who is interested in doing a year of service is go for it. And the experience is what you make it, which that is in life. Find an organization whose mission speaks to you, because that will make you a better service member. You will be more passionate and more invested in the work that you are providing and the service that you're giving. I would just say go for it, and the experience is what you make of it, so make the most of it.
Okay. Wow. We dove right in, didn't we? I just have to say what really inspires me about the experience that the team in Flint just shared was that it all started with an initial goal and it grew to be so much more. So from LaDalvin's experience of joining AmeriCorps for one purpose and realizing the multifaceted reasons to remain engaged, to Zari's examples of national service fueling his organization, both as core members as well as alums who have created a talent pipeline for the organization's ongoing work. To Jamie Lee and Jennifer talking about how it started with a need to increase capacity and focus on tackling the city's master plan, to building into a strategy for how to not only expand service, but then support the individuals in service for such a greater impact. I'm feeling inspired. Thank you again, Kyle, for your moderation. And I'm hoping there are some folks wanting to start this journey after hearing all those great remarks. So next up, I want to introduce Sonali Nijhawan, the Director of AmeriCorps State and National. So Service Year Alliance has had the privilege of working with Sonali for years, most recently during her time as the Executive Director of Stockton Service Corps, a 6-year, $12 million initiative to address local needs in Stockton through AmeriCorps. Sonali has committed her entire career to developing leaders and growing national service, beginning as an AmeriCorps member with City Year Chicago. Her professional background also includes extensive experience in education, and her career has been heavily inspired by the students, families, and AmeriCorps community she met along the way. In addition to her time in Stockton, Sonali also helped to found City Year Sacramento. There are few leaders who better understand the power of national service to strengthen and transform local communities than Sonali. We are grateful for her leadership and to have her here today to share her reflections on national service's ability to meet local needs. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sonali. Sonali, please take it away.
Great. Thank you for that very, very kind introduction, Kristen. And thank you for your leadership and commitment to the national service community. The work of Service Year Alliance continues to help advance the national service movement, and we are grateful for all you do in support of communities across the country. To all those attending, it is wonderful to be joining you all for this important conversation on national service and its role in advancing positive outcomes in place-based initiatives. While I wish we were coming together in Flint to learn from a visionary model, I'm glad that we still get to have this conversation virtually and look forward to the day when we can meet in person and learn more about the incredible work you are doing in your respective communities. The team at Service Year Alliance has asked that I share the vision of AmeriCorps State and National, as well as my own experience launching and leading a place-based national service initiative. But before I jump into my personal experience and vision, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the community that created a model for place-based service that inspired me and has inspired many communities across the country. I'd like to take a moment to just recognize Flint, Michigan. Prior to being introduced to the Flint Accelerator Initiative, my knowledge of Flint was based solely on what I read in national papers or saw on the news. But as we'll come to learn during this convening and have already learned from the incredible panelists, the narrative of Flint, Michigan, like the communities you all represent, should not be limited to its unique challenges, but rather celebrated for its innovation and localized response to creating change. And we cannot recognize the work of the Flint National Service Accelerator without also taking a moment to recognize the Mott Foundation. In a single decision, the Mott Foundation has modeled for the philanthropic community what is possible when a monumental, multi-year commitment is made to support the advancement of systems change through a place-based framework. And thank you to the elected and community leaders across Flint who saw national service as a strategy to advance civic engagement and resident empowerment efforts. Your work to include AmeriCorps programs in your city's master plan has ensured that service and volunteerism becomes a part of the fabric of your city. Your work and partnership served as an inspiration when I first started my work in Stockton and continued throughout my tenure. I can't tell you how many times I thought to myself, I wonder what the folks in Flint would do in this moment. Thank you for your leadership and for your thought partnership. So only 2 years ago, which I'm just going to say I can't believe it's only 2 years ago, but only 2 years ago, I was a month away from launching Stockton Service Corps, a first of its kind place-based investment made by the State Service Commission of California volunteers. Inspired by the vision and community-centered model of the Flint Accelerator and the philanthropic commitment of the Mott Foundation, California Volunteers made its own bold 6-year, $12 million commitment to dramatically increase the number of AmeriCorps members addressing critical needs in Stockton, with an initial focus on education and youth development outcomes. With that single decision to make a long-term, multi-year investment, they gave voice and agency to community members who historically had experienced decades of disinvestment. They empowered me in my role to launch an initiative and facilitate a design process with community voice at the forefront, reminding me of the critical lesson I learned as an AmeriCorps member so many years ago, that to identify solutions to community challenges, we need to engage the voices of those closest to the problem, which is precisely what we did. We engaged school leaders, district administrators, community leaders, parents, and young people to understand how they saw these resources best supporting their community and addressing their needs. AmeriCorps, by the nature of its structure, is a place-based strategy. Our programs are focused on addressing community need and creating opportunity for members of the community to serve. By creating space for the voice of community in Stockton's design process, we were not only holding true to the fundamental structure of AmeriCorps, but we were also reorienting the distribution of power, ensuring that our young people and most impacted residents were no longer in a position to ask what they believed they deserved, but rather in a position to determine their own future. They would have opportunity to do this in our planning phase and also when the opportunity to serve became available. Once we had our design, we engaged in targeted outreach to local and national AmeriCorps programs, sharing with them the unique opportunity to set the stage and define what a collaborative, place-based national service model could look like. We highlighted our priorities of community impact through evidence-based and evidence-informed program models, member development through a community-centered curriculum, and increased funding investments in community through the engagement of private philanthropy and public partnerships. In our initial planning, we secured a little over $500,000 in a district partnership and a 3-year, $1.3 million investment from a national foundation to support the sustainability of programs beyond their AmeriCorps investment. We created consistent points of collaboration for our members and program partners to allow for everyone to understand and tell the story of their collective impact. This moment gave our community of Stockton the opportunity to formalize a culture of civic engagement, service, and volunteerism that already existed. We officially launched in October of 2019, with growing the number of AmeriCorps members from 15 to a little over 100 members serving to support outcomes in our city's Cradle to Career framework. And in early 2020, we began the process to launch our focus on climate action. As you all know, 2020 came with a few surprises and served as a test of our initiative. Our consistent touch points and communication served us well when we came face to face with COVID-19. In partnership with our AmeriCorps programs and the mayor's office, we deployed our members to serve at local food banks and to support the launch of Nourish Stockton, an initiative executed out of the office of then Mayor Michael Tubbs and led by an AmeriCorps Vista. The program responded to the immediate food access needs of our most vulnerable residents, led and coordinated again by an AmeriCorps Vista and engaging over 50% of our Stockton Service Corps AmeriCorps members. The program provided phone outreach to residents, packed boxes of fresh organic produce, and coordinated deliveries with local food delivery services. We engaged NCCC teams to provide critical volunteer support at our local food banks when the National Guard was no longer available. Our AmeriCorps partner programs also continued their regular service virtually to maintain the connections and supports with their students and families. They provided virtual tutoring support, social emotional support, positive virtual engagement opportunities, and near-peer college mentoring. Our members and program partners had a profound impact in 2020 and are continuing to advance their work in 2021. Stockton Service Corps now hosts 135 AmeriCorps members supporting our Cradle to Career work and climate action. I guess I should say that upon my departure, we hosted 134 AmeriCorps members supporting our Cradle to Career work and climate action. I share this story with you not to overwhelm, but to highlight what is possible through bold investments and community-centered planning and design. In Stockton, we centered our work in an equity framework. We focused on accessibility with a desire to promote proximate leadership. Today, these same values guide me in how I think about expansion of AmeriCorps State and National, specifically how we will support new communities where our resources have not been available. I hope this goal that AmeriCorps State and National has is something that we can share with all of you, our philanthropic and public partners, as we all play a role in the grant-making process. I know as community leaders, you all shoulder the responsibility to support outcomes. You are the ones on the ground, finding organizations, educating them about your unique city, and hopefully helping to navigate your local partners with program designs that would harness the people power of AmeriCorps. The time to break new and bold ground in what it means to run an AmeriCorps program what it means to be an AmeriCorps member and what it means to be part of the national service movement is now. The exponential change we can collectively have by layering philanthropy and public investments is still to be seen. And I, for one, am so excited to be embarking on this bold journey with all of you. I look forward to continuing to put place and people at the center of the national service movement. Thank you again so much for having me, and thank you even more for your service and your ongoing commitment to this very important work.
Sonali, thank you so much for that. We are so happy to have had you here today and for your ongoing leadership. And thank you for talking about the importance of public and private partnership in this work. Next, I am very happy to introduce Kari Pardoe from the Mott Foundation. Kari serves as a program officer working in the areas of after-school and youth engagement. She arrived at Mott with substantial experience in the philanthropic and nonprofit sectors. Before joining the Michigan Nonprofit Association in 2006, she was manager of community relations at the Pistons Palace Foundation for Palace Sports and Entertainment. She worked for the Council of Michigan Foundations and managed grant requests for the Isaiah Thomas Foundation. Kari has also served as a commissioner of the Michigan Community Service Commission and as a board member of America's Service Commissions. We are so thankful for your partnership in this work and for your support in building pathways to service. And I'm happy to turn it over to you, Kari.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you to everyone that's joining us today. We are so excited, and again, wishing we were in Flint in person, but this is the next best thing. I might be a little biased, but I don't know about all of you, but I definitely am feeling inspired. Always taking time to hear from a member from Ladelvin and from the partners in our community about how this work is impacting them on a day-to-day basis always gives me that fuel and inspiration to continue this work. And I hope you feel the same, and want to thank Sonali for your leadership and also sharing your story. As it was mentioned in the previous panel, just because Flint does it one way doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. We know that there are other models and there are other opportunities for even us to learn and to improve our model. And you heard us shift from where it started to where it is now. So just thank you to everyone. And I think Sonali is right. This is our moment. This is our moment to take advantage of national service and to help move it into this new generation. So with that being said, I am very happy to talk a little bit about this amazing opportunity that at the beginning of this convening, you had the opportunity to hear from Ridgway White, our president and CEO at the Mott Foundation. At which time he previewed that the foundation had awarded funding to Service Year Alliance to launch the National Service Community Challenge Grants. And we are pleased to officially announce this opportunity at this event. These challenge grants are in response to the growing interest over the last several years in replicating components of the model and impacts of the Flint National Service Accelerator, which you all, again, just had a chance to learn more about earlier today. The goal of these grants is to help new and existing community collaboratives attract sustainable local funding and bring a model or approach inspired by the accelerator to your community as a strategy to address local needs. To help support this, Service Year Alliance will award 4 grants of $25,000 to organizations that are able to secure a one-to-one new financial match and begin to implement or expand a shared community-defined goal that will expand national service while meeting community needs. Throughout the convening, you will have an opportunity to learn more about these challenge grants, the ins and outs, what questions you need to look at, and what will you need to be able to answer, and also some ideas of how to reach out to funders. Hopefully they were able to join you today, but if not, have some tips and tricks and ideas of how to reach out to funders and help them see the importance of national service and what the work is that you're trying to do. But in addition to that, please feel feel free to reach out to the Service Year Alliance team with any questions throughout this convening and post, and they will be able to assist you. We thank you all for participating in this convening and look forward to seeing the impact of these challenge grants for years to come. Turn it back over to Kristen. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Kari. So yes, we are so excited to have you announce the challenge grants. The National Service Community Challenge Grants are a great opportunity to help accelerate impact at the local level. So Service Year Alliance will be offering 4 $25,000 grants to organizations that are able to secure a one-to-one new financial match and begin to implement or expand a shared community-defined goal similar to that of the Flint Accelerator. A shared goal that we want to see the expansion of national service in order to meet community needs. The goal of these grants is to help new and existing community collaboratives attract sustainable local funding and, like I said, bring a model or a similar approach that has been inspired by the Flint National Service Accelerator to their community as a strategy to address local needs.